The silence we carry, breaking generational cycles of trauma. Have you ever noticed how we're taught to keep certain things quiet? Don't air your dirty laundry. What happens in this house stays in this house. Just pray about it and move on. These aren't just casual phrases, they're powerful commandments that shape how we process pain, how we understand ourselves, and ultimately how we move through the world. I recently had the profound privilege of interviewing Ebony Dargan, whose groundbreaking work on generational trauma and silence has transformed countless lives. Her courage in confronting what others dare not speak of has created ripples of healing across communities where suffering was once the expected companion to silence. Ebony doesn't just research trauma, she helps people reclaim their stories with dignity and purpose. Her insights form the foundation of what I'm sharing today, and I'm deeply grateful for her courage in speaking truths many of us have been conditioned to hide. The most dangerous secrets aren't the ones we keep from others, they're the ones we keep from ourselves. Think about that for a moment. The memories we've buried so deep we pretend they don't exist. The feelings we've denied for so long we've forgotten they're there. The patterns we can't explain but can't seem to break. 60% of American adults have experienced at least one adverse childhood experience. That's not just a statistic, that's most of us sitting in this room right now. Most of us walking around carrying something heavy that we've never fully unpacked, never fully named. And here's what's fascinating, we think we've packed those experiences away neatly. We've folded them, labeled them childhood, and stored them in the attic of our minds. But trauma doesn't stay where you put it, it seeps, it spreads, it shows up in your marriage when you can't tolerate conflict. It appears in your parenting when you overreact to small mistakes. It manifests in your career when you work yourself to exhaustion because deep down you still don't believe you're enough. I see some of you nodding, some of you shifting uncomfortably. That's good. Discomfort is where growth begins. When Ebony Dargan shared her research on how family secrets impact professional Black women, something clicked for me. She described how the very survival mechanisms that protected us as children become the barriers that limit us as adults. The silence that once kept us safe now keeps us small. Let me tell you about a landmark study conducted by the CDC and Kaiser Permanente. They followed thousands of adults to examine how adverse childhood experiences, things like abuse, neglect, or family dysfunction, impacted their adult lives. What they discovered was revolutionary. These experiences weren't just emotional wounds, they manifest as physical health problems, relationship struggles, unstable work histories, and financial difficulties. But here's the part that matters most. Acknowledging these experiences was crucial for breaking cycles of secrecy within families. Healing required open dialogue, not shame, not blame, and building supportive communities empowered survivors. Before this research became widely known in the 1990s, many people suffered in silence due to stigma around discussing family issues or mental health. The ACE questionnaire has since become a standard tool globally for identifying at risk individuals early on. This research transformed healthcare policy worldwide by highlighting how generational silence around trauma perpetuates harm and why speaking up matters. But this isn't just about research and statistics. This is about real people, real lives. Consider this. A clinical review explored Black professionals who developed perfectionism at work as a coping mechanism after experiencing childhood neglect or abuse. These individuals struggle with poor boundaries, overworking themselves out of fear that imperfection would lead to more pain or disappointment. This led to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Does that sound familiar to anyone? The constant need to prove yourself, the inability to say no, the fear that if you stop moving, everything will fall apart. Therapists encourage these clients to recognize these patterns as survival strategies rooted in past hurt, not personal failure, and help them set healthier limits at work while prioritizing self care. The results were transformative. Clients reported improved well being once they learned it was safe and necessary to speak openly about their experiences instead of internalizing shame or guilt over family business. Many Black professionals felt pressure not only from workplace expectations, but also from cultural norms discouraging open discussion about family struggles outside the home. Breaking personal silence enabled these professionals to model resilience for others facing similar challenges within their communities. This showed that healing starts with honesty, with oneself first, which then ripples outward into families and workplaces. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about blaming our parents or grandparents. They did the best they could with what they had. Many of them were carrying their own unhealed wounds, their own unspoken traumas. This is about understanding, not accusation. It's about awareness, not assignment of guilt. As Ebony Dargan so eloquently explained during our interview, speaking your truth isn't about pointing fingers. It's about reclaiming your life and making space for growth. Organizations across industries began adopting trauma informed practices after recognizing that over half their workforce had experienced significant adversity before age 18, including many Black leaders who had never shared those stories publicly. Workplaces saw high turnover rates and interpersonal conflicts among staff struggling with unresolved issues from home life carried into professional settings, all rooted in unspoken wounds left untreated due to stigma around airing dirty laundry. Companies implemented training so leaders could create environments where employees felt safe sharing without judgment. Peer support groups were established specifically for Black professionals seeking solidarity while navigating generational pain alongside career ambitions. Staff retention improved markedly when people realized they weren't alone, that vulnerability could be strength rather than weakness if handled collectively rather than individually hidden away out of fear or embarrassment. Historically marginalized groups, including Black entrepreneurs, were often told what happens at home stays at home, leading many talented individuals to never fully realize their potential until organizations broke this cycle through education and advocacy efforts championed by those willing to finally say enough is enough. Several companies won awards for diversity and inclusion after implementing these changes. Employee satisfaction soared as trust deepened across teams formerly divided by silent suffering, now replaced by openness and healing. This set new industry standards, proving collective healing leads directly to increased productivity, innovation, and community empowerment everywhere it's practiced authentically. But here's where it gets personal. Here's where it gets real. For many of us, especially Black women, we've been taught to be strong, to push through, to keep going no matter what. We wear our ability to endure as a badge of honor. Strong Black woman isn't just a phrase, it's an identity, a legacy, a responsibility. But what if strength looks different than we thought? What if true strength is having the courage to be soft, to be vulnerable, to say, "This hurt me and I'm still healing." What if the strongest thing you could do is to stop pretending you're okay when you're not? This is what Ebony Dargan's work illuminates so powerfully. That strength isn't about carrying everything without complaint. It's about having the wisdom to set down what was never yours to carry in the first place. The effects of childhood trauma don't just disappear as you age, they show up in your work, relationships, and even how you see yourself. Understanding this connection empowers you to set healthier boundaries and seek support. I want to pause here and acknowledge something important. Breaking silence is scary. It's terrifying, actually. There's a reason we've kept these secrets for so long. We're afraid of hurting people we love. We're afraid of not being believed. We're afraid of being seen as weak or damaged or attention seeking. Those fears are valid. But here's what's also true: secrets make us sick. Silence doesn't protect us, it isolates us. And healing happens in community, not in hiding. You are not alone. Over 60% of adults in the US have experienced some form of adverse childhood event. Healing is possible when we stop hiding our pain, start having honest conversations, and build resilience together. So, where do we go from here? How do we begin to break these cycles of silence that have persisted for generations? It starts with one truth, one moment of courage, one conversation. I challenge you today: speak one truth, even if it's just admitting it privately, that you've been holding back because you feared hurting someone else's feelings more than honoring your own need for healing. Start there. Find a trusted friend or therapist or write it down, but break your own cycle today so real change can begin. This isn't about dramatic confrontations or public declarations. This is about quiet honesty. This is about giving yourself permission to acknowledge what happened to you, how it affected you, and how you're still carrying it. Because here's the truth: you can't heal what you won't feel, you can't transform what you won't name, and you can't break cycles you refuse to acknowledge exist. When we begin to speak these truths, first to ourselves, then to safe others, something miraculous happens. The shame starts to dissolve, the isolation ends. We discover we're not alone, not crazy, not making things up. We find community in our common wounds. We find strength in our shared healing. The silence we've carried wasn't ours to begin with, it was passed down to us like an unwanted inheritance. But we get to decide what we pass down next. We get to choose whether the cycle continues or ends with us. So I ask you, what will you choose? Will you continue to protect the secrets that are slowly destroying you? Or will you be the one who says, it stops here with me today? Your voice matters, your story matters, your healing matters, and it ripples out in ways you cannot imagine. The day you break your silence might just be the day someone else finds the courage to break theirs. The moment you begin to heal might be the catalyst for collective transformation. Your personal revolution could spark a generational one. The time for silence is over. The time for healing is now. And it begins with a single courageous word of truth. What will yours be?